tuning in to Intentional Conversation with Anga Malaji. Today I have a guest, Thabo Rams. We'll be talking about a very sensitive topic. Hello, my friend. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, Anga? And
I'm
greetings
good.
to the viewers.
Yes, viewers, please don't forget, subscribe, like, and comment. Today we're speaking about something that is actually very close to my heart, about men. Why is it that men don't cry?
Who?
And I've observed Thabo yazi ukuthi, you know what, because of how we grew up and how we perceive men. You know, we often think you guys don't have emotions. Money kind of weak and all of that. But today I want to tell you, we need to unlearn some things here. This guy over here needs to teach us a thing or two. My friend, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I mean, this is one of those,
Yeah.
I think it's quite sensitive conversation that it has been desensitized by the whole community and society, especially in the black context. Why men don't cry? Men do cry, but the men's cry, it's silent. And I think that it's where the society has missed it. How have we missed it as a society? Because I don't want to point it on women.
Yes.
The society has built a social construct with the mantra that says men don't cry.
Yeah.
So in other words, this was a patriarchal system. It was built by patriarchy. It's part of the social contracts that patriarchy brought in, so that men will become very strong and will be, in their leadership, will be quite arrogant and aggressive in terms of being above women.
Okay.
But now we realize that we have emotions as well, and for years we've been crying inside. Now, how do we know that the man's silent cry, it's loud, even when we think he does not cry? Let's look at stats. Number one in 8 men, they suffer from a mental illness. It could be your anxiety, it could be depression, it could be compulsive obsession disorder.
Yes.
These are mental issues that are quite frequent in men.
Yeah.
And now what happens is that how then men begin to respond towards those, it's what is the problem. It's because that is where we see intimate partner violent, where a man beats a woman, or a man becomes abusive and violent towards a woman. And I'm talking about normal cases of ordinary men. I'm not talking about those evil cases, because we have wicked men and we have weak men. Now I'm talking in case of weak men who are quite good Christian, with values and with beliefs, who find themselves in the position where they really become violent towards their partners.
Yes.
That is 1 in 8. They have an issue of mental illness.
Okay.
Now when they respond because they are triggered.
Yes.
I think something that women are not aware about them, it's the power of their words.
Okay.
So the things that they say to a man can trigger a man.
Okay.
And to an extent that triggers, it might not be what we have just said, but it might be because what we have just said has brought a huge energy of aggression that has been kept in silent throughout the mental struggle.
Yes.
Such that when they respond to you, they're not actually just reacting to you. They're reacting to everyone who have said the same thing that you've said.
Okay.
Basically, you become the object of everyone else who have said similar thing to him that has made him angry and never responded. So women should be careful on the triggers. And we, as much as we have an ego, to which that is a conversation for another day. I don't want to talk about it now. But that is where the problem is. And another thing about the men's cry with the illness, the stats still it shows us that 1 in 4 men will in life, in their lifetime, will be violent to their wives. 1 in 4 men in the future. And now How did that happen? It happens because now about 80% of men have either witnessed their father beating their mother,
Okay.
or they have been beaten themselves, have been abused themselves. And so that is a childhood trauma, or you can also call it a childhood conditioning.
Okay.
And what that does, it builds up childhood traumas and childhood conditioning. They create coping mechanisms that are negative. And those coping mechanisms, mostly they become either active aggression or passive aggression.
Okay.
Now, the most dangerous one is the passive aggression, because it sort of absorbs aggression.
Okay.
You become angry, but you become aggressive inside. And when you're gonna release the energy of aggression, it explodes. Now, the active aggression, obviously, it becomes a pattern as well, where a man beats their woman. So that it's a cry. It's not a consequence of a good man being evil, but it's a consequence of men showing signs of where they are broken. We do not encourage violence against women and against children, but we really would like men in this case to say, this is our cry, but now how do we begin to open up and address it? That's where the problem is. People cannot, even in this society, this 21st century, men are still not allowed to speak, to open up about their feelings. Now, for instance, there are many cases where I've seen men reporting rape cases, that they've been raped by women, and when they go to the police stage, the police people, they laugh at them.
Yes.
They're like, wow, you were really raped. It becomes a joke. So,
and I'm thinking,
traumatized. Guys, we are also traumatized. We're also traumatized.
It doesn't mean when they cry, they are weak. So, in other words, men do cry, but in different ways that we need to understand. So actually this is a very eye-opening.
Yes. And another thing on that one, so now when we go there, we don't find a safe space to open up. It's worse, we cannot even find it amongst ourselves. Because what happens when you're with ourselves, our ego takes too much place. Sometimes you know it's happening to you as well, but you don't want to communicate about it. So that
you are shy, I mean, all of
then
to create a safe space.
Then you don't open up about that. With our women as well, we don't want to be weak.
Seem weak.
We don't want to look weak. As men who are strong, who are there, who have the masculine energy at work. And so because of that, we don't have the safe space.
Yeah, so there's no safe space for you guys to cry. Not that you don't want to cry, but there's no safe space guys to cry.
There's no safe space for us to cry. And another thing that you can see happening with the feminine movement, which makes it even worse, makes it worse. The feminine woman has problematized masculinity rather than addressing the issues of masculinity.
True.
I want to say this very clear. The feminine movement has problematized masculinity and not address the issues of masculinity.
Yes.
So masculinity is not a problem in itself, but the problem is the issues that are surrounded in the masculine community. And what feminists, both men and women, have done, have made toxic masculinity an identity that describes every man.
Yeah.
So when they fight, they say, men this, men that.
Yeah.
They don't fight the issue, they fight the men. And that's why, again, it becomes very hard for men also to open up about their childhood traumas, where they've been and how much they're hating. And so they'll get into alcohol, get into drugs, get into sex.
Their way of crying.
You know, that is how they're trying to cry and make themselves better. Of which that in future really hurts them even worse. And so I want the community beginning from home, you know. Let's start with men's movements. That will be a safe place for them to open up. Men who will open up to say, I've been through that,
yes.
and begin to attend conferences where they really speak about these things.
Yes.
I've attended a couple of men's conferences,
and
they've tried to be vulnerable, but I could see that they were not. And once the person who has created the environment,
yes.
the host, it's not open about their own issues,
yeah.
then it's difficult for the person who comes in to listen, to open up about it. So we need to then start there. Let us have boot camps that teaches our boys that it is okay to cry and it's okay to express yourself and your authentic thoughts as they are. Now, here's the thing about men expressing their authentic thoughts. Our authentic thoughts are so raw that they hurt.
Okay.
And most women who claim they want to hear the men speak, they are not ready to listen. They are not ready to listen because what the men will say might cause an internal damage in terms of their confidence, in terms of how they see love, because men will be raw in saying exactly what they want to say. So often what we will do, we would want to minimize what we want to say. Like you will take it very down to a point where it no longer means what you want to say. And in that way, you are bringing a cry, but your cry does not go through because you have already sort of decomposed the real problem, and it becomes a very problematic thing for women to actually deal with that. So we need men and the women at large to say, it might hurt us.
Yes.
But as long as it's your honest truth, and as long as it's really how you feel about it, let us work around that. Let us sit down and negotiate it. But we've been stigmatized so much that once you do that, you're already classified as toxic.
Yeah.
You know, because they feel like what you're saying, because it's hurting, then you're toxic. I think we really need to look at that one as a community. Let us teach our boys as early as now. Let them attend boot camps. When they cry, allow them to speak their thoughts as they are. Don't police. Don't police how they're expressing themselves. Whether you are a mother, you are a wife, you are a sister, whatever you are, you're a friend, do not police how they should be expressing themselves to you when it's hurting to them. So when it hurts, make sure that you allow them to speak up. We can actually speak up when we find a safe place, you know, and to see that we can open up. There are men that have already opened up about their issues, and they stopped continuing because they realized that them speaking brings more hurt. So they would rather compromise and get hurt than let the other people hurt. So there are good men out there who are going through a lot mentally. Unfortunately, the society, their women, their sisters, their mothers, they cannot hear it because what they look at, it's the results, and they call it toxicity. So men do cry, but the silent men, the silent cry of a man, it's too loud, and it's clear in this generation.
Wow, no, you have said it mouthfully. Thank you so much for this episode. We'll come for part 2 of really understanding why men don't cry. So men do cry, viewers, but they cry differently from us. So from what he has said, we need to understand how they cry and have capacity to be able, to listen to them, no matter how much it hurts, no matter how painful it is, but they need to be who they are. They need a safe space, and we can only create that for them to be in the safe space. Please do comment in our comment section. Do like and do subscribe. We'll bring him for part 2. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thank you.
For coming in. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.